Hey, so I'm Pamela. I'm a senior product designer at a company called Deal. I wanted to share with you 3 fundamentals that I think you should know to become a product UX designer in today's world. A designer can vary a lot depending on the organization that you're in and the size or the structure that they have, and it might require a different skill set of hard and soft skills. If the company is a bit smaller and less structured, you might be required to wear more hats, maybe not only focus on design but also do some research, maybe some project management. But if the company is way more structured or bigger, you might be more focused or centered in the role of design. Regardless of this, I think these 3 fundamentals are going to be super useful for you starting out in your product UX design career. And let's get started. So the first fundamental thing that you should know is product development frameworks. You might be saying like, what the heck is a product development framework? For more context, a product development team includes different roles in a product organization. This could be designers, engineers, project managers, product managers. So the product development framework is a system that enables the different roles in the product development team to work together to develop a solution to a problem that's going to get launched and tested and used by real people. Product development frameworks enable the teams to have a guide or structure of what should be the step-by-step thing that they should be doing for finding a solution to a problem. There are multiple frameworks that exist today. For example, the Google Sprint methodology, the design thinking framework, the Double Diamond framework, or there's one that I used in my previous company called the Experimento framework. But the core of all of these frameworks comes down to the same 4 steps. 1, understand the problem, choosing a market, choosing a system that you have identified that they have a problem, and going and talking with those people to understand what is the problem that they're having, why are they having it, why is it a pain. Number 2 is designing a solution and prototyping it. Basically, is doing like an MVP version, and MVP means a minimum viable product, which is like a very basic version, so you don't invest a lot of resources in it. And the 3rd step is going and testing it with actual users. So the same people that are facing the problem, they need to test your product to tell you, oh, this actually solves the problem or not, and if it's actually a useful and valuable solution for them. And once you test, you are going to iterate. That's the 4th step. So based on the information that you get from the users, you're gonna go ahead and iterate the same cycle until you have an ideal solution. And then in those cycles is that people keep identifying other problems that they want to solve or other solutions, and that's how companies are made. Because you just keep iterating and finding things to improve. The second thing that I think you should know as a fundamental is to learn about human behavior. Every product that you've used was created based on a human problem. So a fundamental of building a product or designing a product is understanding, how do humans work? How do humans function in their day-to-day or in the system or market that you want to impact? How are people behaving? What are their interactions? Who do they interact with? What are the practices that they'd like to do? What are the problems they're facing? How do they face them and how do they solve them today? You can either do this by observing people. So let's say that you want to impact the restaurant industry. You could just go to a restaurant and talk with the servers, with the managers, with the people in the restaurant, and understand, how does the system work? By system, I mean like, how does it look like for them to get from point A to point B? This could be, for example, ordering at a restaurant. How does it look like for the client from the moment that they get to the restaurant and they order? Or if it's an online order, how does that look like for them? What are they thinking? What are their limitations? What are their problems? And it's gonna be really fascinating. Beware that you might likely fall in love with humans. Another thing that you could do, of course, you don't have to do a 4-year college course of psychology, but you can find like a short course or crash course on psychology. And there's one that I'm gonna link right here, but yeah, this one. It gives you all of the basic fundamentals of how humans behave, where do they come from, like the history behind human actions and like thoughts and behaviors. All right, and fundamental number 3 is learning all about the tools that designers are using in today's world, in the market or the industry that you want to get into. Of course, the tools that a designer in technology uses are different to the tools that a designer in physical products are using. If you're designing a car, of course, you're not using the same tools that a designer that designs products in tech uses. It's different depending on the field that you want to get into. You have to figure out what are the tools that are being used by these designers. For my specific case, in technology, There are multiple tools you can start learning to familiarize yourself. Think about the full product development cycle. When you're understanding the opportunity, you want to talk to users, prepare guidelines or documentation. You probably need to use tools like Meet or Zoom to perform interviews. Or if you're performing a usability test that you want to pay for, you could use tools like UserBob, Maze. If you need to document things, your team or your company might be using already a project management tool. This could be Notion, Jira, Asana, Monday.com, all of those things that are for project management. You probably need to familiarize with those as well. If you want to do some data analysis, you might need to familiarize with Looker Studio, Amplitude, Mixpanel, those tools that are going to be super helpful to familiarize with your users and how they're behaving in terms of metrics. Once you get into brainstorming, you might also want to use tools like FigJam, Miro, which are like whiteboards online that you can use to collaborate with others and come up with solutions. There's also design features that I'm just going to say one because I think it's the best one, which is Figma. Learning that one is fundamental if you want to be a product designer in tech. And then there's other tools that maybe your company already has for constant communication, for documentation purposes. So you can document things in your Notion, in your Google Docs, in your Google Sheet. If you want to use like a more day-to-day collaboration tool, it could be Slack or Discord, which are like messaging platforms mainly. Thank you for standing my recording from my car today. I hope this was helpful, and I'm super happy that I can help you out in your journey getting into the product design field. Hope you have a great rest of your day. See you around. Bye.